But listen, a veteran can make the difference on any team, just like Jonathan Toews can possibly make a difference on the Toronto Maple Leafs. So there's an article, I don't know what's going on here, but there's an article on The Athletic by a friend of the show, Joshua Cloak, and he mentioned he was going through the bargain bin in terms of free agents, and one of the guys in that bin, no disrespect to Jonathan Toews, is Jonathan Toews. He's a free agent. We've seen the Leafs bring in the likes of a Spezza or a Thornton on the cheap.
Yeah.
And you know what? Kind of makes a good point. I think he'd fit on the fourth line for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Why are you humming and hawing, making a noise?
You can't do that. You can't bring in Jonathan Toews because you've seen how this stuff is done. You've seen this in the past. You're bringing the Thornton, you're bringing the Spezza. What does it do? It doesn't do anything.
I mean, didn't Spezza score like 20 goals?
Wasn't he like one of their best players too?
Yeah.
Was he?
He was actually. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. I mean,
I just don't see the purpose. First of all, we don't even know if Jonathan Toews is going to be healthy enough to play for a whole season. What his
that's the risk.
Where is his state of mind? Does he want to play still? Right. That is such an unknown. Right. And I think that might be one of the reasons why he's still unsigned, because you don't even know if he wants to play. The health issues are there. I don't see the Leafs. I'd rather go for like a reclamation project in the same article, right? There's a guy like Jesse Puljujarvi out there that you can fill at your bottom of your roster. Maybe Zach Aston Reese, bring him back. I just don't see the use in bringing in Jonathan Toews, because there's other ways you can go about it. I just don't see Jonathan Toews being the answer for the Toronto Maple Leafs to bring him.
What don't you like about Jonathan Toews?
What do you mean?
As the player? Cup winner. Right.
Yeah, okay, but again, he was
veteran
vastly overrated during those times in Chicago.
I get what's going on.
What do you get?
I get what's going on Vancouver.
No, not even that. I said last week I'd rather take Patrice Bergeron over Jonathan Toews. Right? I said last week.
As like in a career,
career, everything inclusive.
Sure,
included,
I mean that's an argument to be had. I just the downside for the Leafs to bring in Jonathan Toews on say a one year. $1 million contract, where if he does miss some time, just put him on the LTIR, right? Put him on the LTIR for a bit.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather they bring in Sam Gagner or rather bring in Jonathan Toews as fourth line center?
How much you paying Sam Gagner?
$750,000. That's what he made last year.
Listen,
right?
I mean, it's low risk. I think it's a low risk move. You're not paying a lot for it if it does happen. And the Leafs won't be the only team asking about Jonathan Toews. If Jonathan Toews comes out and says, listen, I'm ready to play, I'm okay. Like, he had a serious bout with long COVID. But if he's healthy enough and he's ready to play, there's going to be so many teams going in on him. Why wouldn't you be?
There's such a big if, though, around Toews, if he wants to play and stuff like that.
Well, you're not paying him $5, $6, $7 million.
I understand that, but still, the fourth, as much as we want to poo-poo on the fourth line.
Well, no one's poo-pooing on the fourth line.
But you have to have somebody who's going to be reliable down the middle of the ice there, right, with them. I wouldn't, because he'll be the fourth line center, but he's probably going to have some penalty killing responsibilities as well, I assume, 100%, right? So I would rather go with somebody who I know is going to play at least majority of the season. We don't know that with Jonathan Toews, right?
You don't know that with anybody.
We don't know, but again, the chances are higher with some other player rather than a guy with Toews who, again, has had health issues, and he
still played 53 games last year, and he did deal with that, but he did play like the last 8 or so games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still think that and he had 31 points. It's 37 points the year before that, 60 points, 81 points the year before that. So he is a bit older, but somebody that can win faceoffs 59% of the time. And play a power play if you really need him to fill in on the second line, win you a face-off to get that puck possession, win you some battles on the penalty kill. Again, I think it's very low risk, mid risk, high reward.
That point production was up. Obviously, he's playing in the top 6 for the Blackhawks. He won't be doing that.
Let me ask you guys this, right? Ryan O'Reilly was the former captain of the St. Louis Blues.
Sure.
Right? Came into the locker room, couldn't deal with the pressure. I'm not talking about that, right? But I'm talking about maybe bringing in guys that don't have as much pull, right? Or have the big name like a Toews or an O'Reilly, because I want to see, and again, this might just be me, I think bringing in those guys, it gives an excuse for guys like Marner and Matthews and Riley to not take onus of more of a leadership role in the team, right? Remember when Ryan O'Reilly was here, everybody looked at him as one of the leaders, and it would be the exact same thing if Jonathan Toews came into the locker room, right? A fourth line guy, a guy who's in the last leg of his career, would be expected to also have a leadership role. I wouldn't want that for a guy like Jonathan Toews. I think it's now on the onus of these guys up here. They need to take more of a leadership role, and bringing in guys that have leadership experience, right? it leaves these guys with an out. Now maybe I'm looking too deep into it. I'm thinking too much into it. But
the Leafs' issue in the playoffs last season had nothing to do with leadership. It all had to do with them not scoring goals. They scored 2 goals a game.
So
in
is
the
Jonathan
second
Toews
round.
going to score goals in the playoffs?
No, but he's not the answer. He's a piece to the puzzle.
I think you get his better pizzas.
The guys who are going to make this team move are the guys at the top of the line.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
but you still need to fill out the rest. And why not go out and get a guy who's been there before? I don't understand the negative of getting a guy who's won Stanley Cups, who's been a captain, who's got a gold medal under his belt, who can play 10 to 15 minutes a night if need be.
I just think, like, for me, the biggest thing is the health factor. And I also think
agree.
you put a guy that big of a name in Toronto, there's going to be a lot of cameras on him, lights on where it shouldn't be, right? All the lights and all the attention, all the pressure should be on the main guys, right? And I feel like if you add a guy into Toews, into that dynamic, people are going to start deflecting away from them and start looking at him to answers and stuff like that.
Looking at the fourth line guy?
Trust me, this market is crazy enough. They will do that.
I don't know about that, dude.
I think so.
If the Leafs aren't performing, they're not looking at a fourth line guy. They're looking at Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and Tavares.
So let me ask you this:
they're not looking at Dylan Gambrell.
They go on a 4-game losing streak, but Dylan Gambrell is not Jonathan Toews.
If you're bringing in Jonathan Toews to play on the fourth line, your expectation is for him not to score 30 goals a season.
But the expectation is for him to be in there and be, like you said, play 15 minutes a game, be a power play guy, put up some points, right?
Of course.
I think, right, and also take a leadership role.
Obviously.
Well. I don't think that adding him to the mix is the same thing as what Spezza and Thornton did. It didn't do anything, right?
Well, Spezza did. Thornton didn't because Thornton forgot how to skate. That's a different story.
I don't know. I don't think it's a smart move.
I'm 100% with you on the health issues. Yeah. That is a huge concern.
And then nothing after that.
Other than that, I'm like, why not?
Even the health thing, that's the biggest thing, health. Availability. Yeah. That's the best ability.
I mean, to say don't bring in another leader because it's bad, that's kind of crazy.
Look, man.
That doesn't make any sense.
It'll become a distraction. Just watch.
I mean, playing in Toronto is a distraction.
I really hope this
itself.
happens now.
It probably
I really hope it happens.
It's going to be a distraction.
Anytime I feel
you bring in a guy like Sam Gagner, nobody's going to care.
In my opinion, whenever you bring in a guy that makes sense for the Toronto Maple Leafs, that deal never pans out.
Bringing a guy
it's always something you never even thought about.
Yeah.
It's like, well, Toews fourth line at the cheap. If he wants to play, he's got experience. He's a leader to fill in the fourth line. That's a no-brainer.
You just said
doesn't happen with
if he wants to play.
Yeah, exactly.
If
he wants to play.
Do you want to go for a guy like Derek Brassard, who's got experience in the playoffs as well? He'll come on at a cheaper too.
Yeah. No, I'd go for the
There's
Stanley
other
Cup
options
winner.
out there too.
Yeah, for sure.
I go for Johnny Toews.